understanding and that adab. Could you please expand on the accountability and responsibility that falls upon the student after listening to these haqqaiqs? Is it the same for the last chapter and goals we write to manifest? Thank you for everything.
Yeah, I think that everything that we hear we're accountable for. So Allah will hold us to account. You know that they say ignorance is bliss to a certain point. One who wants to be complete jahal and ignorant, they remain ignorant and they can sit in a closet and live their life accordingly, but doesn't mean that Allah won't punish them, it means they achieve nothing. But the one whom their soul has a yearning to achieve and to regain a status, lofty souls or high level souls that came upon this earth, they came with an intention that they would use this earth as a means in which to achieve their realities and to achieve what Allah has given to them of an opportunity. So they require to feed on these realities to attain these realities. So as a result of Allah guiding them, then they're now responsible. So you can't say that, I didn't know. They said, no, you were taught. Your eyes are recording and your ears are recording, and the one whom wishes to lie to Allah and say, no, I didn't know Ya Rabbi, Allah will play back their recorder for them. That here your eyes will testify, your ears will testify to what they heard and what you saw. So you heard this reality, you saw this reality, you allowed your nafs not to want to do it, not to follow it. And that's when the teaching comes back, well, who's sitting on the chair? That's a part of the meditation. So that when I don't do something and I don't listen to the teachings and I'm not writing and taking notes and I'm not following that level of guidance, then I have to go back and meditate, and who's sitting on the chair at that time? My nafs is sitting on the chair, and then I have to identify, well every time my nafs sits on the chair he doesn't like to listen to any of the teachings. So then I can say, oh well that seems to be a greater part of the day my nafs is sitting on the chair. Because the sickness is when you don't know that you're sick, right? Because people think they're good and they're generally saying, well I'm really good because look at all my friends are really bad. But that's not the litmus, that's not the test of being good. That if all your friends are gangsters and you're not, doesn't make you good, it just means that you're trying to move away from being a gangster. Goodness is towards looking to the heavens and say that they're good and I'm trying to imitate them and move towards their reality and use them as a curve. And that's why we have the example of Sayyidina Muhammad. So we don't compare ourselves lower, but we compare ourselves with the highest and say, I have to move towards that reality. And as a result, and then I do my accounting. So I see how much my nafs is on my chair and doesn't let me to learn, doesn't let me to study, doesn't let me to think about, don't let me to achieve. Then I understand, okay, this is my sickness. That's why the shaykh gives these zikrs. That's why the grand shaykhs have put together recitations and etiquettes. Recite those awrads, why? Because they are medicine. For every sickness Allah has given a medicine, those are like pills. Every zikr that you do, subhanallah bihamdi, subhanallah azim, astaghfirullah, each one of those is a medicine against a sickness. Astaghfirullah al-azim, astaghfirullah al-azim, astaghfirullah al-azim, again is a medicine against immense sickness, and it heats that chair. Where the chair becomes so hot shaitan has to get off, Za'anu can sit there. And that if you find yourself able to sit and do your awrad, means shaitan's not sitting on the chair, otherwise he would never let you to recite that. When you say, I can't even pray, means shaitan is so fiercely on your chair he won't let you to make prostration. That's not good, that's a dangerous sign. So that's when you know, when you do your awrad shaitan is off, and if you can do it a lot your nafs is also going to be burning on that chair. So that's the importance of taking a hisab, taking an accounting of oneself and trying to achieve a greater state of consciousness and reality at every moment, and not to be just content with one thing but to continuously try to grow. And that's why then review the subjects that we've talked about, there are so many. When Mahdi replays the videos after a few weeks or 4 months, some people think it's like new, like it was amazing. Why? Because the first time around they didn't catch it. And if they're not really studying it and writing it, yeah of course they don't catch it because there's just too much information coming out 3 times a week. So when you watch the video again is again another opportunity to write your notes. Not that, oh I already heard that talk, no, but you may be in 4 weeks or 4 months at a much higher state in which now you can comprehend the real jewellery or gems that are coming through them. So the talks for most people just seem to be like rocks, just passing through. Because in life if you really knew that they were gold you would have stopped and wrote everything, because everything has an immense secret in your reality to achieve eternal stations, it's not something small. So but because we're dunya people, if I told you go to this stream and all of a sudden you look down and there's like all these diamonds and rubies and emeralds, you would build a camp, you would live there. and you would take everything from this stream and be the wealthiest person on earth. Nobody would pass that up and say, oh well that's very nice, interesting, great, and then go. Because we don't understand the value of the teachings and the realities, they're just flowing like rocks for people, just flowing, flowing. Did they catch that? Did they understand that? Did they write that gem? Because how do you pick up a gem from the spiritual reality as you write it? How are you going to pick up a gem? What does that mean to pick up a gem? That means you wrote something of a haqqaiq and later on you go back and look at what you wrote and you begin to meditate and contemplate on it and you begin to write a little bit more of the understanding of, I think I understand what this means for me. And then that gem begins to enrich the soul. So that's the system in which the shaykhs were taught. The holy companions, their gems are what? Is their companionship. That they accompanied the Prophet of Islam, they absorbed the realities, they wrote these realities, many of them, and as a result they became immense gems of realities because not only they got dressed by the power of hearing the voice of Sayyidina Muhammad, which there are no two that can match that. Means to hear the physical voice of Prophet was a most honoured gift, and that's what makes the holy companions to be honoured. So it means these are because of the frequency, the realities and the realities of what was being conveyed and from what presence was it being conveyed. So that's immense. So many people in their lives they don't understand the presence of even the holy hair of Prophet. They just look at it and walk by as if like any other hair, say, no, this hair was at Qawba Qawsayni aw adna. Because any hair from the hair of Prophet was in the presence of Allah in which no creation will achieve, not an angel, not a jinn, not anyone, not a Prophet of Islam, not a Prophet of any other religion can achieve what the Prophet of Islam, what the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad achieved with physicality. So it means all the physicality went into the presence of Qawb Qawsaini, took bone lengths or near. What is that? What was that? And how it witnessed Allah. If you understood that then you say, okay, the hair that you have of Prophet witnessed Allah, was in the presence of Allah. That's why the no mind people that come against relics, what do they have? They have like nothing in their head. Why aren't they understanding that if it's Allah you love, how and who got the closest to Allah? Sayyidina Muhammad. Just for that sake alone if you really loved Allah you draw near to those relics because it went into the presence, he went into the presence of Allah. So you see people are warped, they're so excited about a stone that was somewhere in paradise. But in Medina you have the actual flesh, the blood and the body and the being of Sayyidina Muhammad that stood in the presence of Allah beyond any station that Sayyidina Jibreel could ever achieve. He went and saw what his Lord wanted him to see. Doesn't that mean that every drop in DNA of it was dressed by Allah to an extent that nothing has been dressed like that. So he is a relic from Allah's relics. As we try to collect relics on earth, that Sayyidina Muhammad's personality is Allah's relic because He brought him to His presence, sent him back down to earth. So he's dressed with the Divinely dressed and Divinely lights. Anyone draws near to the Muhammadun Rasulullah has drawn the nearest that you can achieve to Allah just by the sense of his understanding of tabarak and relic, that he is a relic from the relics of Allah. Other nations they're trying to find a box of a tablet that Allah with an energy they wrote on a mountain the 10 commandments, not Allah's hand because its speech was from Sayyidina Muhammad. But those tablets that manifest into a physicality, they're hoping to grab that box and conquer the earth. And their entire belief is to move the whole world into war to find that. And then with their belief they'll make their wars based on that. For a stone that didn't even get near to Allah but just contains the words of Allah, not even written by Allah. What do you think about the presence of Prophet who went into the presence of Allah with all his DNA and all his cells, every part of his wujood is dressed by Qawb Qawsayni aw adna. Anyone who goes to Medina is being dressed by the presence of Allah by virtue of the miraj. But because shaitan deceives the nation, they don't sit and think, oh my gosh, we do have it. Those same people that claim to think they love Allah, they come against these relics, but you should realize he is a relic of Allah. Allah gave us a Divinely relic that I brought this into my presence and I send it back to you. If you get near to Him, you're near to me. The nearest that anything in creation can achieve, and nothing in creation has achieved that, not an angel. Because Sayyidina Jibreel of the Archangel said, we don't go there, that's where we don't exist. It's only for you, Ya Sayyidi Ya Rasul Kareem, Ya Habib al-Azim. So these are all the immense gifts that Prophet has given to us. Do we sit and understand its value and meditate and contemplate? Then we would understand the juz. The difficulties in life we have, they can be cured by these knowledges, these realities, and to be a custodian of these knowledges in this way, inshaAllah.